Okay, so yesterday we talked about how if you have a high arched foot, you can get better shock absorption through improved mobility and improved pronation when your foot hits the ground so that your foot is not as stiff. But we don't want to depend only on your foot for shock absorption, because you can also get shock absorption by how much your knee bends, how much your hip rotates, how much your trunk rotates. Shock absorption can happen all the way up the chain. It's not just isolated to your foot. And so here are some ideas for learning to get better shock absorption from other joints in your body so that it's not all coming from your foot, or that you're not looking for it all from your foot. But I got this question earlier this week, and I want to share the answer with all of you because I feel like many people with high arches have had similar discussions. Like, if you understand that a high arch means that you're getting less shock absorption when you hit the ground, it seems reasonable that then you would put more cushioning in your shoe to add better shock absorption. But they've actually done research with gymnasts that when they land on softer surfaces, their shock absorption is less because they are expecting for it to come from the surface that they're landing on, versus when they land on harder surfaces, then they actually get better shock absorption because they know that that thing is not going to give it to them and that they have to provide it. And so now, granted, we might not be able to apply the way trained gymnasts respond to the average population, but we can all learn to respond in a different way. We can all learn to create better. That was better cushioning. But so the idea is not that going barefoot is the solution for everyone, but that decreasing the amount of material between your foot and the ground gives you better feedback. So if you're someone who has a high arched foot and you wear a very cushioned shoe, you might be creating more resistance and more impact by how the rest of your body responds when your foot hits the ground, but you can't feel it because that shoe is making up for it. Versus if you take out some of the cushioning between your foot and the ground, you can feel it better, and that feedback tells you to create more cushioning from other joints. Maybe it's your foot, maybe it's your hip, maybe it's your trunk, maybe it's your knee, but it helps you to create better shock absorption when you hit the ground because you can feel it. And so that feedback should not feel like pain, although it might be discomfort, but you don't want to decrease the amount of material between your foot and the ground to a point where it's increasing your symptoms. You want to decrease the amount of material between your foot and the ground to where it's increasing your awareness. Can you change what you're doing, the way that you walk, the way that you control your leg, in a way that helps you to have less symptoms when your foot hits the ground? And can you use the lack of material there to give you better awareness of what you need to do differently? And then, of course, the same kind of concept applies for people whose feet need to go the other direction. It helps them create the awareness of what their foot is doing when it hits the ground and how much of it is contacting it and how much should be contacting it to get better propulsion. So hopefully that connects some dots.